I'm Maggie Norris. Welcome back to my kitchen here in Phoenix, Arizona. We're going to spice up dessert week with Cherry Chipotle cream cheese brownies. Right over here I have the ingredients for the brownie portion. We have 3/4 cup of flour. In here I have both 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I have 1 cup of sugar, 2 eggs, 1 stick of butter cut up, and 4 ounces of chopped semi-sweet chocolate. For the cream cheese portion, we're using 8 ounces of the 1/3 less fat Philadelphia cream cheese softened, 1 egg at room temperature, 1/4 cup of sugar, vanilla and almond extract, cherry preserves, and the secret ingredient, chipotle and adobo sauce. And over here I have my 8 by 8 inch glass pan lined with parchment paper and sprayed. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm just going to turn my stovetop on to low because I'm going to be melting the chocolate and the butter, and I can't stand all the dishes of doing a double boiler, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it right in the pan, keeping an eye on it so that the butter and the chocolate don't burn. Go ahead and add my chopped chocolate into the butter mixture and stir it just to kind of mix it up. And while that is melting, we're going to go ahead and get a couple of other things together. I'm going to add my baking soda and my salt to my flour. Just kind of whisk it up a little bit. And then I'm going to add my eggs to my sugar. And you don't want to do this too early because the sugar can actually end up burning the eggs. It's called sugar burn, and your eggs will get, technically they get cooked and a little bit curdled. So we just want to get all the sugar mixed up into the egg. And then I'm going to come over here and check on my butter and chocolate. Just mix it so it doesn't burn. It's starting to smell so good. So while that is continuing to melt, we're going to move over to our cream cheese mixture. So in this bowl I have my 8 ounces of softened 1/3 less fat Philadelphia cream cheese. And then I'm just going to add everything to it. I'm going to add my 1 egg, 1/4 cup sugar, my 1/2 cup of cherry preserves, and then we're going to do, it says 1/2 teaspoon of the chipotle, but we are going to do, let's do a full teaspoon and really spice it up. When the chipotle is mixed in here and then is also baked, it mellows out a little bit, but you're definitely going to get that smoky, little spicy flavor in there. So then, the next thing, let's go check on our chocolate. So still not all the way melted, but it's getting there. Actually, probably in about 10 seconds here, I'm going to cut it off and just let the leftover heat continue to melt the chocolate. So I'll turn that off. And then we're going to add about 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and I'm just going to eyeball it. So about 1/2 teaspoon, that was probably not even 1/2 teaspoon, so 1/2 teaspoon vanilla extract, and then 1/4 teaspoon or so of the almond extract. And then just with my fork, I'm just going to mix it up. And the cream cheese is pretty softened, so it should mix pretty well. And you really do want your egg, especially your egg and your cream cheese, at room temperature because you don't want it to kind of seize up and get lumpy. Ooh, it's starting to, it smells really good. The cherry smells delicious. So I'll keep mixing that over there. I'm going to let that sit for just a second. And then over here, our chocolate and butter are all melted. And I'm going to add my sugar and egg. I'm not going to be able to get all of that out with a fork, so I'm going to need the help of my spatula. It's very difficult for me to not lick the spatula. I won't gross anybody out and do that. So now I'm going to whisk this together pretty quickly. Because we did this over low heat, our chocolate's not too hot, so you're not going to cook the eggs. But if you feel like your chocolate's gotten a little too hot, you want to let it cool down before you whisk in the eggs, and the egg and sugar, because you don't want to cook the eggs in there. Then I'm going to add the flour mixture, and I'm going to mix that until it's just combined. And my oven is preheated at 350 degrees. Okay, so I'm getting most of that flour. I want to make sure to get into the corners of the pan, if there's such a thing. Mix it all up. And we're going to come back over to our cream cheese cherry mixture. And I'm going to get a whisk to try and get that a little more pulled together. Should be fairly smooth, but you'll be okay if you've got a few lumps in there. So now I'm going to get my pan, get some of the dishes out of the way. I'm going to add a little bit of vanilla to my brownies as well. Maybe about half teaspoon right in there. My stomach's starting to growl. Okay, just mix that in. And what we're going to do is pour half of the brownie mixture into the pan and spread it into the corners. And this parchment paper is going to make it so easy to pull the brownies right out. And then I'm going to pour the cherry mixture right on top of that. So this is going to be like the yummy surprise middle layer. And then I'm going to the rest of the brownie mixture right on top. And don't let the chipotle scare you. You will be pleasantly surprised. One thing I've learned about living in Arizona is they definitely like to use their chilies. So why not in dessert? So if you want to, you can grab a knife, kind of marble it through. Go the other way. So we've got a little bit of a pattern here. So here's the brownies before they go into the oven. Then we're going to put it into our preheated 350-degree oven. And we'll set our timer for 35 minutes. I know you can hardly wait. Okay, so I've taken my brownies out of the oven. They actually ended up being in there about 40 minutes, and I have let them cool. So here are my cooled brownies. They're still a little bit warm, but I'm just gonna lift them out of the pan with the parchment paper, and I'm just gonna cut them right on the parchment, on top of the cutting board. So we're just gonna cut these up. And then we are going to place them on a pretty cake plate. So we'll just arrange them like so, and they're nice and chewy.
So stack them nicely on a cake plate, dust with powdered sugar, and garnish with mint.
So now the final test is to taste one. This is what you're waiting for. I better hide some of these. I'll see you next week.